The next track is called Deep Star Distance Objective. Interesting. Very interesting ending. Nice panning here. The automation on this album is really good. I like it. This is a very industrial album compared to... Oh, fuck. Thought it was gonna end. The Isolated. Screams are so raw on this album, dude. auto-tune at all. I hate auto-tune and I hate pitch correction. I don't use any of them. I feel it's cheating. Right into the antagonist. Well, that's interesting. I was expecting it to go right into the antagonist, but it ended. Interesting. I was expecting that all three of these are going to be put together, but it ended. That's very weird to me. I expected these two tracks to go together. But I
think that's actually part of the mixing up. We were still learning on back in the day. One of the weird things I noticed when we released this, there was a lot of pauses in between the songs and a lot of space between songs. If you look at our newer stuff, there's not a lot of space, but there's definitely a little dead space between some of these songs. I think that was just us still learning.
Yeah, man. I like that song. I like both of them. Really, really good songs, dude. I like it sounded like the beginning kind of reminded me of like a Meshuggah kind of like vibe from the Drop Distance. Deep Star Distance Objective kind of had like a Meshuggah kind of tone with the guitars and like compositions.
So that was the first song written for this album. And again, we didn't know we were even writing an album, but that was the song I mentioned where Nate asked me to write about aliens. I just didn't even know what to do. So I wrote it about space travel and leaving the planet, and then that really helped develop this story for the album, because that was when we started talking about, all right, why, and at the end of the show, as we discussed playing the demo songs, those are originally going to be included in an album, but then when we actually had a full album's worth of music, that was one story. We just really didn't feel like they fit, so we actually dropped all those demos and didn't use them for anything until that EP later on.
I like this album, dude. I'm very surprised at how much I like this compared to the other two.
As I said, they're very,
raw.
very different.
It's raw. It's real. It's like, I like this production. I hate the drums. The drums are absolute ass. But that's the only part of the album I really don't care for, is the drums.
I mean, to me, when writing an album, writing music, it's, the more strife that you're going through, the easier it is to write, the easier it is to put, your head and your heart in those lyrics. And, I know Nate was struggling at the time too, so he had his struggles, I had my struggles, and I can't speak to everything Nate was going through. But for me, that was when I was already gone for 6 months for military school. So I was away from my house, my family, my job for 6 months, and I got less than 5 weeks at my house, and then I was gone again for a year to do this job. And I was working, it's not as bad as some of my other stuff, but I was working like at least like 10-hour shifts, 6-7 days a week.
Wow.
And our job was the security of all data moving through the Middle East. So we were analyzing every single bit of data from communications, video, and cyber attacks, just going through everything. So it was just, I was always working. My head was always on the screen watching things. And yeah, it was kind of intense.
So from a producer's a newer producer's perspective, there are 4 plugins that I will not do a cover or even an original song without now. And that is FabFilter, Ozone, Neural DSP plugins for guitars, and finally Synchro Arts vocal sync. Vocsynth? I can't remember what it's called. Voc sync? I can't remember. It basically helps you with your harmonies, and it syncs your harmonies together. It's awesome. Axe Effects, I haven't got a chance to use that yet. But dude, those 4 plugins have saved me so much time of like, of trying to figure out an EQ. The match EQ on, dude, FabFilter's match EQ is one of the best things I have ever learned as a producer. It literally changed the game. I started using it in my, Glenn, you remember my Deftones cover? The Digital Bath. That was the first time I've ever used it. And the vocals on that, I get a lot of people that tell me that the vocals in that really just fit into the mix. And that was the FabFilter. It literally cuts out part of the vocal into the music and fits your vocal into the music. It's awesome. It's amazing. But yeah.
I leave all that to Nate. Nate's my audio guru. I just write lyrics and yell and make the story.
Yeah, Nate, grab FabFilter, dude. It's amazing. But yeah. I think it's $700. I can't remember how much I paid for it.